Okay, in this video, I want to cover with you your mindset behind sound design, okay? Now, you may think, oh, whatever, and you're just going to skip to the next video. But the reason why I want to talk to you about this is because this is something that I didn't really realize until I was kind of tired and burnt out, okay? So what I mean by that is sound design is a totally different industry from anything else within music, okay? So when you go to make a beat, when you first start, typically, you go buy a sound kit, let's say your drums, your claps, your snares, these are already pre-made sounds which you've purchased and now you're going to use, okay? The same thing with like these synths, if you load up a VST, you're just trying to make music. And really like at that time in your production career, you're really just trying to learn the basics. Like you're trying to learn how the software works, how you can make a beat, really, right? You're not really so much interested in how you can create a sound because really when you look at these VSTs, like they're very, very intimidating. And just because you learn one VST doesn't mean that you can just go to the next VST and you instantly know it because especially nowadays with coding, right? The sky's the limit in what they can do. Back in the day when you had like hardware and stuff, maybe they were a little bit handcuffed in a sense of like, how much money it would take. And, but nowadays with like coding, it's just if you can think about it, you can pretty much do it. But what I'm trying to say is sound design is a totally different industry. Okay. And I just want to write just the different things, the different stages of production, right? So, really like we have like beat making, and this is like where you're actually making the beat. And again, this is a totally different job within the industry. There's beat making. These are producers. These are like your favorite producers who have produced for different rappers or different singers just along the way. Like they're the people who actually know how to play the keys and make that beat, make that composition, right? And this is also another career within the industry is an arranger, right? So someone who actually goes and arranges, let's just put arrangement, okay? So this is someone who specializes in getting the most out of your song, because when you actually go to make a song, you might have a catchy loop, you might have your song might have so much potential, but if your arrangement isn't done well, it really hinders the potential of it, okay? Because really a good arrangement really helps enhance that song, okay? Now, after an arranger, there's like mixing, okay? So there's like mixing engineers. But I'll just put mixing, okay? So this is a totally different industry. And if you have discovered so far, like if you're right here, that's totally cool. But eventually you're going to have to learn this, and you're also going to have to learn this if you want to do it yourself. Otherwise, you're going to start hiring out these skills, and these people are not cheap. They are expensive because they're good at what they do, right? In addition, there's also the mastering, okay? So mastering, if you do not know, it is the last stage of the production process. And what you're doing is you're just really getting your track at a polished commercial level in a sense of loudness, just frequency balance, and your fade in, your fade out, as well as adding in any special metadata into that file so that, if someone sends it to the radio, like they have all the information within the file. It's been like tagged, and you can get like your royalties properly. Okay. And a mastering engineer, like, it requires a lot of knowledge and like a lot of kind of nerdiness, really. It's a really, really cool industry, but I'm just kind of preparing you as you go along, okay? Now, let's change the color here, and we're going to talk about sound design, okay? Now, sound design is like I'm saying, it's a very, very tiring industry in my experience because, again, I personally really don't enjoy sound design. I really don't. And the reason why I've learned it is because, I've been doing this for a while and I stated my reasons. Like, with Silence 1 on the version 3, I ended up opening up, their pre-made presets, and it was just kind of like, man, some of these sounds are out of tune. And some of them just didn't suit my workflow. And it was just kind of like, yeah, I've been making beats for a while. I want to take that next step in this music industry. And, I want to be a very versatile producer. Okay. So if you're kind of like that, then this is exactly like the same path that you're walking down too. And so the main reason why I want to make this video is just so that you're aware that sound design is in its own section of the music industry. Okay, so if you are wanting to make a beat, well, there's tons of pre-made sounds, and if you use pre-made sounds, it doesn't mean that you're a bad producer. Okay, you're just using pre-made sounds to make your own beat. You can always mix it yourself. Use EQ and compression to kind of mold the sound in your own way. But someone who is a sound designer, and I just want to talk just a little bit more into sound design. So for example, like there's like your one-shot samples. These are designers that make drum loops or like drum samples. So for example, this would be like your drums or claps, various percussion elements, and they actually would record real sounds with microphones, right? And many times people really like when they use high-end gear, high-end preamps, high-end microphones, right? Just to get that really high quality sound, and it just helps it sell better. But recording one-shot samples is one thing. So you actually go and record the sound. And then what they do is they're going to layer different sounds. So for example, if they have a drum, they might have, other sounds such as like a clap or something, and they might EQ it and, affect it in such a way so that it's like a layer on top of it. And again, that's a huge industry all in its own, in itself. And it's very, very time consuming. And again, I've tried this, I've done it lots. And for me, it's just very, very tiring. But it is something that, it is something to try and just kind of see how it goes, okay? The next one is VSTs, okay? Now, these are like your instruments. And this is what this course is focused on, is, your synthesis, okay? So, for example, these are things like Serum, Silent One. Inside of FL Studio, you guys have like Citrus, Harmor. There's like Toxic Biohazard, Sakura, I think is what it's called. Right? There's all these different synths. And again, some of the most common ones is Silent One and Serum. And I also picked up a recent VST. It's called Pigments by Arturia, okay? And this is actually a super, super cool one. So it's Pigments 2, okay? They recently updated it. Very, very cool. Now, you do not need to go and buy tons and tons of different VSTs, okay? These are honestly like my main ones. These three right here. Sure, it might cost maybe like $200, $200. I think this one was around 200, 300 kind of too. But it's like, I don't need to go and buy tons and tons and tons, and also look for deals. Like sometimes, older VSTs, sometimes they go on sale. You can pick them up for like $14 sometimes. There was one, I think it was called Expand. I think you spell it like this, Expand, and it was like by Air. Okay. I think I picked it up for $1. It was like on sale, and I was like, super good deal. Okay, so again, I just want to get this mindset across to you that you see I made this line, and each of these have their own category within the industry. And being a producer, okay, so again, there's a person who makes it, they're a beat maker, they make the beat, they're going to pass it on to all these other people. A producer is someone who really has an ear for what makes a track sound good. And if you want to be a good producer, okay, someone who has the ear, it is important that you at least have a general sense of how these different industries work. And then again, the sound design, right? For example, if you want to do sound design with these synths, how do you create like a bell sound, or how do you create like a violin sound? And also a cool fun fact, I don't believe that technology at the moment that you're allowed to, or that you're able to create a piano sound with one of these digital synths, okay? In the next video, we're going to be talking about the different types of synthesis. And if you want like that piano sound, what they actually have to do is, let's just take like pretend this is, let me just change color here. Let's just go for like a blue. Okay, so imagine we had just like a little microphone here, okay? And this is like our piano, okay? Do something like this. Okay, so this is our mic. And it is recording, the different sounds of the piano. A type of synthesis is like sample-based recording. And what they would do is they would literally record each note individually, and then they let you have that. And then now you have a high-quality piano. But what they really did was they just recorded each note individually, okay? But for a piano, I don't believe it's possible yet for a synth, such as like Silent One or Serum, to create like that real piano kind of sound. So that's kind of a cool fun fact for you guys. But yeah, as you guys will start to progress, you guys will learn to how to create like, a bell sound or how to create these different sounds because, it's just like any skill within any industry. You just kind of have to learn the general concept, okay? What I'm going to get across to you guys in this course is, again, I'm going to stress this over and over and over again, okay? So it's your oscillators, your envelopes, and your filters. Your oscillators, your envelopes, and your filters. That's it. Those are the three basic things that you have to learn because those are the tools that you use to shape different various sounds, okay? So again, this is important. I wish I knew this when I first started up because I got burnt out. Like I was working a full-time job. I used to be an electrician and I was like, I want to get into sound design. So I had this little, recorder. It was a manual, like portable recorder that you can bring around. And I went and recorded all these different sounds. Like I recorded like I had like a fence out here. So like I recorded like the fence. I recorded like my dog barking. I recorded all these different sounds and I was like, oh, I want to do sound design. But just the process of sound design, like it takes a lot of time. So when you're learning this, it's actually pulling you away from all this stuff, okay? And again, it's just important to know that because if you're getting into it, just be prepared that now you're jumping into a different industry, which you may not even need to learn. Because, if you want to sell your beats, well, that's cool, man. Like you guys can just go and buy sounds in a sense of like different presets and stuff to compose your melodies and stuff. You don't have to learn sound design. But this course, why it will benefit you is because I'm going to teach you right from like a producer standpoint. So let's say you went out and bought some high quality sounds. You can use these sound design techniques to further shape those sounds, okay? And really, that's what it's all about being a producer. It's like, hey, you hear something, you want to tweak it a little bit. Well, how do you do that? And what tools do you have to do that? Okay, and that's what we're going to break down once we kind of get into, more like the hands-on. Okay, our next video we are going to talk about the different types of synthesis. So it's going to be me talking again and just listing out the different types of synthesis and just a quick talk on them. By no means am I like a super professional with sound design, but I do have enough knowledge to get you guys up and running and to tell you guys what you need to learn and what you guys can kind of brief over a little faster. Okay.